Okay, boom. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone is doing well. I'm actually starting 1 minute early today. Right? Crazy stuff. Getting early today. So yeah, cool. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Excellent. Mr. Cole is in the house. As always, thank you for coming again. Excellent. Carl, how's it going, bud? Are you the Carl cool new Total CMS stack? If you guys, I believe it's the same Carl, probably. Check out Weaver Space. Carl posted a pretty slick little stack that works with Total CMS and Easy CMS. It's like an email obfuscator. Man, that is a weird word, right? Obfuscator. Excellent. Well, thank you, Carl, for making that. Looks really slick. Haven't had time to really dive in and look at it, but looked nice. So cool. If you guys want to like hide your emails from bots and stuff like that on your website and manage that with Total CMS, Carl's got you hooked up. So that's really cool. Thanks, Carl. Sweet. So today we are going to go over something that I kind of reviewed on, or we kind of came up with the idea on the Hangout on Friday. So plug for the Hangouts. If you're not joining the Hangouts on Fridays, you are missing out because we go over so much cool stacks, so much cool stuff. Thanks for the love, Fernando, on the email stacks. I appreciate that. As usual, we got Dr. Bob here. Oliver, thanks for coming from Germany. Wolf, Jeff, thanks for coming on. Bill Francis from the UK. Excellent. So anyway, today we're going to be reviewing something we did on the Hangout last Friday. And I'll show you the inspiration behind it. It was actually Davide is working on a new site. Davide is behind Foundation Box. Check that out. If you're not on Foundation Box, go to foundationbox.studio. And Davide has got some amazing project files that are pre-built with Foundation 6. And he also has versions that are available with Total CMS as well. Super cool, super stylistic. Get your design game up leveled, right? So cool. Okay. Okay. And it looked like my screen is working now. Okay, cool. There we go. Oh, we lose my little preview of me, but oh, I know why. See that? Boom. There we go. Look at that. Okay. So this is what we're going to be working on. On Friday at the Hangout, Davide was talking about he wanted to create this cool interactive SVG map of Italy, right? And so he had found this map of Italy, and he actually created a lot of these hover effects, but he wanted to link to them. And what you'll notice if you click on one of these, it links over, and I believe this is a Limelight. I could be wrong, but it launches a Limelight whenever you click on the state, and it kind of gives information about that state, right? Pretty cool. And so this looks like something that's like crazy complicated, right? But really, it's not all that complicated. And so I thought it would be fun today to kind of go over and show how we can do this. And I'll show you some new goodies that are coming up in the future that are going to make this a little bit easier. So anyway, this is what we're going to be working on today. Okay. Mine's not going to look quite as fancy that we're going to be doing today. I'll probably just link out to something and maybe we'll add a drop down. He also has these little tooltips, right? So if you notice when you hover over any of these, it actually shows a tooltip with the name of the state. Okay. Cool. So let's go ahead and actually to start off, where do we find these cool maps? So there is a very slick website called simplemaps.com. And for some reason, they have all these amazing things for free. Actually, well, they do have a lot of free ones. World map. They do have free ones. Interesting. These ones are licensed. Looks like that's if you want to buy their interactive one. But they'd have, hold on, let's see in my history. There we go. Okay, so I guess you have to search them on their site. I think I found this just via some Google searches. But yes, they have all free SVG maps. Here, I'll plop this in the stream for everybody in the chat, so you guys have this. These are all free SVG maps, which is cool, right? Apparently, I didn't even realize this till right now. You can actually buy maps, and then they kind of do those little tooltips for you as well. Probably have some cool JavaScript features. Oh, look, like zooms in and everything. That's pretty interesting. Okay, but we're gonna do something simple, which is basically what Davide did. Okay, and we're gonna use this. I'm gonna use the US map for right now. Okay, and I think I already have one downloaded. Maybe not. Okay, let's download the this US map. Download SVG. Yep. Okay, boom. So we're going to be playing around with the US map. What I'm going to be showing you today, it doesn't matter. It could be US, Italy. It's all the same. Okay, it's just a map. But we're going to learn a little bit about SVGs right now. Okay. So let's go ahead and open up a little code editor. And so if you didn't know, SVGs are just code. Okay. And let's shrink this down a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to be copying and pasting this inside RapidWeaver. Well, we don't need this XML, and probably for licensing purposes, you know, they want you to keep this comment in there. So we'll be nice and we'll keep that. Okay. But you definitely want to remove that XML tag. Okay. And so I'm going to delete that XML tag. You do want that if you're going to be referencing this SVG as like a as an image. So like if you're warehousing this and you're going to use it inside the picture stack or something like that, you definitely want to have that XML tag. But we're going to be pasting this directly into an SVG stack, and we do not want that XML tag. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and start let's open up RapidWeaver. And I think I actually already started a little page here. I'm gonna delete it. We will start from scratch. All right, this is just an SVG map. This is an SVG stack, and you'll notice all I did is I'm just gonna go and Control A. I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna delete all of that. I'm gonna paste it. Okay, so it's tons of crazy XML SVG code. You don't need to really understand it. You just need to know how to copy and paste it. Okay, cool. Boom. Let's preview that in the browser. So there we go. There is an SVG map. Oops, hold on one second. I forgot. I need to delete some of these things. Okay. I'm just going to delete all these things. We don't need any of those. Don't need that either. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's preview that. Now we just have a blank SVG on the page. That's it, right? Can't do any cool effects with it. So let's analyze this SVG map. Okay, so I'm going to inspect the element on the page. And because SVGs are pretty much just like HTML, you can inspect them, right? And if you notice here, each individual, there's something called a path, right? So if you look here, let me get my little screen, my screen brush tool going here. Okay. So if you look here, this is a path. Okay, this is a path tag. And when I highlight that, this path, this particular path, is the state of Minnesota. Okay, and actually, it's cool. They actually put in little IDs for MN, which is the abbreviation for this state, right? They have data name equals Minnesota. They have some IDs, right? And then all these numbers are basically how to draw the state of Minnesota, right? So each of these paths here is a different state. Okay, and that's all it is. And the path itself is all these crazy numbers. We don't need to understand any of that. Okay, this particular one is Hawaii, which is way down here, which is kind of crazy. It's all these islands. Okay, here's another path. This one's Idaho, right? So there's Idaho. Here's Washington. Okay, so on and so forth. So each of these states is a path. And actually, here's California. Okay, what I'm going to do, since I'm in California, we're gonna play around with California right now. Okay, and so first thing I want to do is I want to when I hover over a state, I want to change the color. How can we do that? So let's go ahead and close this off. There. So let me back up a little bit as well. I'm currently using a beta version of Foundation 6 that nobody else has except me. And you might notice there's site styles is slightly different. There's a new component swatches section. So I've added a little bit more organization here. I'm not going to dive into everything I've done. Maybe at the end, I'll kind of review that. And I've given some hints over the past couple months that I plan on releasing a swatches pack. And so I started working on a swatches pack, and SVG is one of them. So there is going to be a new SVG swatch that will become a part of this swatches pack. And inside this, we'll be able to do some cool stuff. So what we can do is inside of an SVG, we can adjust things such as the fill. Okay, so let's go ahead and give it a fill of purple, or let's do red so it's really nice and vibrant. We can totally see it. So we can do things like class. So I can give this a class if I wanted. And I can say, if I wanted, let's go ahead and we'll go into this. Let's search for California really quick because we're going to muck around with California. Okay. So this is California. Okay. And this path, right? All these crazy numbers, this is California. So I could target this. And I could do something like this, right? We're going to do class equals my state. Okay, I'll just do my state. Why not? So that is my class. I'm adding this class to the California path. Okay, and only the California path for right now. Okay, let's go ahead and copy this. I'm going to go into this SVG, and I'm going to paste that in there. Okay, so now California has that, right? And it was the class was my state. Okay, and yeah, we're setting anything as a class of my state. We're setting the fill to be red. Now, in this particular map, they actually set the fill locally. Okay, so in order to override that, we're gonna have to use this important flag. And what you notice is, boom, California is now red. Cool. That's nice and cool. And, as any swatches, we can actually hover that, right? So if we want to do pseudo state and a hover, we can do, boom. When I hover over California, it turns red. Woohoo! But that's kind of annoying because that works for California, right? But it doesn't. I don't want to go ahead and put classes on all of these states. That's kind of crazy because there's 50 of them here in the U.S. and that's no fun. Okay, so how can we do this at a more global scale? Okay, so we're gonna not use a class. So we're gonna use elements. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and find there's some new SVG elements now. I'm gonna choose SVG path. Okay. Because if you remember, all of those, all the states, every single one was a path. Okay, so we're going to select all the SVG paths. And so when we hover over an SVG path, I want to set the fill to red. Boom. So we set the fill of every single one of these paths to red when we hover over it. Pretty cool, right? Very slick. Couldn't be any easier, right? Now we could change the stroke. I know in this particular example, I played around with it. It doesn't really look all that great. I would just leave the stroke the same. But yeah, you could change the stroke if you wanted as well. The stroke is the outline. And with stroke, we have the ability to change the color, the size of it. You can make it dashed, right? And then we can make the lines so that they're either rounded at the ends and all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's kind of cool. But in this example, we're just going to stick with fill. Okay. And so we have on hover. That's pretty slick. Now, let's say, for example, I'm going to go one more level. Hopefully not to confuse you guys too much. But right now, this is going to, if we copy and paste this, let's do two different USA stacks, USA SVGs. And if I hover over any of these, okay, you'll notice that it does the path on all of them. Now, what if I only wanted to affect the first one? How can we do that, right? So in the SVG stack, just like any other swatches, we have access to something called the parent stack or the parent class, okay? And we're going to call this US Map. So I want to apply this, only apply this hover red on something that's called the US Map. Okay, and where are we going to add that? Okay, well, I'm gonna remove my state from California for right now. Okay, and if we just go all the way up to the main SVG, which is the parent of all of those paths, I'm just going to go ahead and do class equals US-map. Cool. And copy that. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste it. Now when I preview, we get the red on this one, but not on the one down here. Okay. Now I should note that I could have actually added that US map class to the container or a one column. I just think adding it directly to the SVG would be nice, because then it's really limited to just that SVG, right? But we would have got the same exact results if I would have added it to this one column. Like, for example, I'm going to add it to this one column, and it's actually going to apply that hover style to both maps, because both maps are inside this one column, right? So boop, boop, still works. Okay. So yeah, you could have added it to the one column. I just think it was a little bit cleaner, since we're in the SVG anyway, to go ahead and do that. Okay. So that's pretty simple, right? So far. I know this SVG code looks pretty scary, right? And we're like, oh, Joe, this is crazy nuts. We are going to get a little bit more crazy nuts. But yeah, not too crazy. I think it's all doable for you guys. Okay. One thing I wanted to do is the color, like, it's very abrupt, right? I'd love to have it like fade in, like a little nicer, right? How can we do that? Because it's just very red immediately. So we already have a transition swatch inside Foundation 6, and that works great with the SVG stacks as well. So we're gonna do a transition on the SVG paths, okay? And we'll do the parent class of US-map, since that was what we were doing over here, okay? And let's do a transition of 500 milliseconds, okay, with no delay. Let's preview it now. Now, I don't know if you see this, a difference over the live stream, but there's now a delay, right, for these, which is pretty slick. Okay, cool. So now what? So now that we have these styles, okay, we want to link to something, right? So what I can do is we're gonna muck with just California for right now, and I'm gonna add a link. I'm gonna link California to Weaver Space. Okay, so let's go ahead and link. Whenever I click on California, it's gonna take me to Weaver Space. Okay, so here we go. Oh, we want the code. Let's go over to the code here. And let's find California. Okay, there's California. So I know a lot of you are scared of code, right? But we're going to have to do a little bit of code because we need to add a link to this path. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add, we're going to add a link around this path, and we're going to use an HTML link. Hopefully some of you have already seen this. So it's just an anchor tag, and we're going to do href. Okay. And I'm going to link to stacks. We're going to link to Weaver Space here. Oops, I forgot to put in my quotes. Double quote there, double quote there. And then I want to open this in a new tab, let's say. Okay, I'm going to do target equals, and to do that, we're going to do underscore blank. Boom. Okay, so now there we go. I added a link. Okay, now what I'm going to have to do is we want this link only to be applied to California. So what I have to do is I have to go all the way down to the bottom of California, this path, and I have to close that path. And we do that with just a simple closing a tag. Okay, so what I've done here, okay, is I have what's called an anchor tag. This is why it's an A. It's an anchor. We have the opening tag that links to Weaver Space, and this opens in a new tab. This target. If you didn't want to open in a new tab, this will work just fine too. Okay, I just want to open a new tab just to show you guys that. And then to define where our link is ending, we define this closing anchor tag, and it just has that little slash in there. Okay, so I'm going to copy this now. Copy it. We're going to go over here. I'm going to go ahead and paste this in. Okay, and let's go ahead and preview. And you'll notice that when I hover over California now, I now have my little pointer that tells me it's a link. And if I click on it, it takes us to Weaver Space. Pretty cool, right? So yeah, it is a little bit of code, and there's a little bit of work to be done here. Hold on one second. Here, let's just turn on Do Not Disturb. But it's pretty slick, right? It's not rocket science. And for the US, if you wanted to have a link for every single state, yeah, it could be a lot of work, right? Because you'd have to create these links around every single state. Okay, so definitely is a little bit of work there. Okay. What else can we do? So Davide had little tooltips when he hovered over every state, right? Let's do that. So when we hover over, let's do California. I'm going to do California for right now. So when we hover over California, we are going to get a tooltip. Okay. So in order to do that, we're going to have to muck around with some code. And here I'm using Foundation 6. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this with Foundation 6. Okay. If you're using other frameworks or other stacks, you could probably use some other tooltip stacks out there and get the whatever snippet that stack needs to show the tooltip. But for right now, I'm going to show you how to do this with Foundation 6. Okay. So in order to do this, actually, I'm going to go over to the Foundation 6, the open source docs. Okay. So these are at get.foundation. And then you can go up to the docs menu and go to sites docs. And here's all the raw documentation for all of the code that's behind the Foundation 6 stacks, right? And so Foundation 6 has tooltips. So like right here, if we hover over this, we'll see that we have a tooltip, right? And I do have those documented here as well. So if you go into snippets, okay, you'll see that in here I actually have snippets for all the various code things that you can do with Foundation. Oh, they only work in edit mode. Forgot about that. Okay, so you can kind of see what those are. So there's an abbreviation. There's tooltips as well. Okay, I think, while this stack is useful, it kind of shows you inside RapidWeaver. I'm going to go ahead and head over to this code here. So to add a tooltips to something, essentially we need two things. Okay. I need a title attribute. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go over here, and on this link, okay, I'm going to put a title in here. So it's just title equals, and this is California, right? So, or we're going to put home of Weaver's Space. Cool. Okay. So that has a title. And let's show you what that does, actually, just having a title on there, because that actually does some stuff. Let's go ahead and go into Rapid Weaver. I'm going to paste that in there. And it should. Oh, maybe Safari 14 doesn't do that anymore. Normally, when you have a title on a link and you hover over it, it actually shows you a little tooltip, like a browser tooltip, not a very nicely styled one. Interesting. Did Safari change its behavior? Yeah, title. It's there. Interesting. I guess Safari doesn't do that any longer. Okay. So anyway, let's go ahead, and we need to tweak this a little bit more. Okay. We need this data-tooltip attribute. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And let's go back into here. And all I need to do is add that data-tooltip attribute. And let's go ahead and copy this. Go back into Rapid Weaver and paste it. Now you can do all this work directly inside Rapid Weaver, but I don't know. I like using a nice code editor. This is one called Nova. There's a bunch of free ones out there as well. VS Code, Sublime Text, Text Wrangler, or actually, no, Text Wrangler doesn't exist anymore. It's now just BB Edit, which has a free version. Yeah, so I prefer using code editor. Yeah, I have to copy and paste things back into Rapid Weaver, but it just makes life a little bit easier. Okay. So now that we have that tooltip, if I hover over that, voila. Cool. I get my little, when I hover over. Now, it changed my cursor to be, Foundation does that. Okay, Foundation does change the cursor to be a question mark over the tooltip. But since this is a link, we can actually change that. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the cursor swatch. And this is another one that's a part of the swatches pack coming up. Okay. And I kind of know this is just has tip. And we're just going to set that to be pointer. Where's pointer? Pointer. There we go. So I want that one. Has tip as a class that the Foundation adds to all tooltips. Okay. So I'm just going to do that. There we go. So now I still have my little pointer back, and I have my tooltip, which is cool. Again, I would then, if I wanted this for all 50 states, I would then need to replicate what I just did inside the SVG for all states. So it is a lot of work. Okay. But I mean, this is a really nice solution. And I saw that Danny in the chat mentioned that, this could be applicable for floor plans. Yes. I mean, I'm showing you a use case of an SVG with a map, but this same exact thing could work with anything that is an SVG. It could be a floor plan. It could be any image. Okay. I just think maps are kind of portray this very easily because we can kind of grasp how a map is divvied up into different sections. Okay. And then we can style those sections and add little links and tooltips to all that stuff. Cool. So what else could we do? I'll take this one step farther, and then I'll kind of just ask some questions and see if you guys have any questions, and then we'll maybe dive into some other cool stuff I've just been working on this week. So let's launch a Lightbox. Why not? Okay. So when I click California, instead of it launching a link, I want it to launch a Lightbox. Okay. Let's do it. In order to do that, though, we're going to go over to Reveal. All right. Reveal is the Lightbox that's a part of Foundation 6. Okay. And to launch a reveal doesn't take much. Okay. So we have this, for example. So we have a button, and we can open a modal. Okay. Hold on one second. Just making sure. Just data toggle. Okay. Oops. Okay, so we want to launch a Lightbox, and we're going to use this button here. Okay, we don't need to have a class of button. That's to actually make it look like a button. We just need data-open and then our Lightbox ID. Okay, and so what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy that, and I don't want this link any longer. So we're gonna remove that. Okay. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of this data tooltip. Let's say we still want a tooltip. Okay. We don't want a link any longer. So I'm going to delete that link tag. And we got to delete this closing link tag. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste in that data tooltip that we had on that link so that it's directly on the path. And then I also want to do this data open, and let's call this CA-modal. Okay. So we're going to we want to open a Lightbox that's called CA-modal whenever we click on this. Cool. Let's go ahead and copy this. I'm going to go over here. Paste that in there. Okay. And you notice I have my little, now when I click on this, it actually doesn't do anything because I didn't create that Lightbox yet, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and create that Lightbox. And we're going to do a Lightbox. Okay. I'm not going to take time to, create a fancy Lightbox or anything like that, guys. We're just going to do that. Okay. And then this Lightbox, oh yeah, the Lightbox name was, what did I call it? Called it CA-modal. Okay. CA-modal. Modals are like a geeky term for Lightbox. If you're curious, like why the heck are you using the term modal? It's weird. Yes, it is weird. Okay. So now that I created that Lightbox, it should. Oh yeah. We get California. Again, you could do that for all 50 states. You can create different Lightboxes. You can do all kinds of stuff, right? Let's do another one. Let's do a Dropdown. Okay. So let's see. We just do data-toggle. And then the Dropdown ID. Okay. So inside this code, I think we could just do data-toggle. Okay. We're going to do CA drop. Okay. Copy that. Paste that in there. Okay. We need to create our drop down. I'm going to create a drop down here. This is the drop down container component, not a drop down menu. Okay. And we're going to call this, it was what, CA-drop. over there. Keep the size that. We're going to open on hover. We want to open it on hover, not on click. And let's preview that. So when we hover, if you see, oh, I didn't add any content. Duh. Boop. Or when I hover over it, I get the nice drop down. Pretty cool, right? Maybe there we can change the cursor. Maybe there if we do instead of, let's do SVG path on hover cursor help. There we go. There we go. So now whenever I hover over, I mean, only California has the drop down now, right? But you can kind of see, boom, hover over California and get the information. If you hovered over other states, you would get information about those states, right? Pretty slick. Let me see if there's any variable content by state. Imagine how you could be used for COVID. Interesting. Especially if the variable content was populated from an external source. Yep. You know, this interesting concept. It'd be interesting to see how we can integrate this with Total CMS or something like that. Then you can, update the CMS, and yeah, you could do both, right? So then, you can update all the information and have it dynamically displayed on the website just by updating the content in the CMS. Pretty slick. Okay. Cool. Let's see. I think there aren't many questions. Hopefully I tried not to go too fast. Here, I'll put the URL to this doc site, on in the chat room for anyone that wants to see it. It's just get.foundation. This is, again, the docs for the actual framework that is all the code that's behind Foundation 6, the stacks. Okay. Obviously I have some code that's on top, but this is obviously all this code. Any code that you see here will work in Foundation 6. That's really cool. And I just used it to copy paste some of those parameters for things like the Lightbox and the Tooltips and whatnot. So useful stuff there. Okay. Cool. So I guess we'll I'll kind of move on. In closing, I'll just kind of go over some cool stuff I've been working on, I guess. If you guys are curious at all. Don't have an ETA release. This will be Foundation 6.7. And it will I'll have a new Foundation Swatch pack for sale. Hopefully early next year, January, February, somewhere around that time frame. And site styles, you will get some new things. Obviously in Foundation 6.7. One big one that I added is the ability to customize the gutters in your columns. I didn't think this was going to be possible, but I finally figured it out yesterday. And inside site styles, you have the ability to customize the size of the gutters. And that is the values applied when you click on these little buttons here. Okay. So now you have access to control what those actually do. Okay. So you have the size of the gutter on small, medium, and large. And those will get added when you apply these buttons. Okay. So you can, add and remove only certain gutters or whatnot if you want. Okay. So it's really cool stuff there. You'll notice that site styles, it has a new area. This, the general swatches menu was it was growing and growing and growing and growing. And so I wanted to be able to kind of, spread that out a little bit. So in the font now, I added the font color and text color swatches. So, anything that has to do with text or fonts can now be added up here. Okay. So that's just kind of a reorganization. I renamed this one to General Swatches. It was just Swatches before. And you'll notice that there are some new ones in here. And let's see. You've seen a couple already. So Cursor, SVG, Transform is a new one. We'll look at that one in a minute. And there's a specific one for Z-index now. Because sometimes people wanted to change just the Z-index and they were applying a position swatch, which adds some other things that you might not want, right? So now there's a Z-index swatch, Transform, Cursor, an SVG. Transition was already there. That was something that's already in Foundation 6. And I think that was it. With display. Okay, there's another one. Not sure why it's down there. I need to alphabetize it. Yeah, so these are all the new swatches. So we have the SVG swatch, which you've seen, allows us to apply styles to SVGs, fill and stroke. And then obviously we can change those values with a transition swatch. Okay. We have the cursor swatch, which allows you, as you see, all the various cursor modes. So there's all kinds of crazy cursor things that you can do. You can customize your cursor for whatever you want. Okay. Transform allows us to do things like nudging or rotating, or so for example, for fun, let's just go ahead and I'm gonna do SVG paths. We're gonna do on an SVG path on hover. Okay, I want to rotate a stack by 10 degrees, and I want to zoom in 1.1. Okay, so that's on hover. Actually, we're going to do 2. Just kind of give you an example. It doesn't matter. Here we're going to take off hover, none, and I'm just going to apply this to 0 and 1, just so that we have some default values applied. And I already have a transition. So now when we preview this, yeah, the rotate kind of doesn't work, does it? But yeah, interesting. There we go. Here, I'm going to take that rotate off. Let's play around here. Let's take off rotate. Take off rotate. We're just going to zoom in. With the way this SVG is built, it kind of, some of them is cool, like that one right there, but this particular one, the way it's layered, I wonder if we add a Z index. Okay, here, I'm just playing around here. I have no clue if this is even going to work. Let's see if we add a path. We do a Z index of 999 on hover. So we're changing the Z index on hover. I have no clue if that's going to work. Nah, that doesn't seem to work. You see that this particular one is still underneath the other one, right? It's interesting. I bet you if we play around with it a little bit more, we can probably get it working a little bit. And some of them move too. Not sure why that is, but yeah. But imagine, I mean, you can do this. You could do simple little, very simple animations with this. If you use transforms and transitions, you can do that, or you can just rotate something on the page, right? So let's say I create a class called rotate. Okay, and let's go ahead and rotate something 90 degrees. So anything I rotate, or let's do 45 degrees. You can see it right here in preview. The transforms applied to this little black box here. Okay. So we can rotate anything by 45 degrees just by adding a class. So now I'm going to go to this text and I'm going to say rotate. Okay. Obviously it doesn't work in edit mode. But we should. Oops, what's that? Oh, I have it on hover. Let's just do none. There we go. So this text is rotated forward. Now, for text, it doesn't really make much sense. Okay. But, you can now rotate all kinds of stuff on the page. So, you can rotate it. Move allows you to shift it. So you can shift it over a little bit and kind of change its positions and all kinds of stuff. Zoom obviously scales it in or scales it out. And then skew is kind of a funky one. Obviously, you know what a skew is. It just kind of skews things. I'm not really a huge fan of skew, but anyway, that's the transform swatch. It's going to be super powerful. You can do not only just transforms, but also kind of simple animations with this out of the box, especially on hover. That's cool. So I kind of showed you with z-index, right? You can just add the z-index to whatever. And then display. What is display? So I think probably the biggest use case for display is a custom visibility stack. So in display, you can affect a property. So we're going to do display none, okay, on something. So let's call this my hide, okay? And what you can do is you can actually do a custom breakpoint here. So I can say display none from, let's do something like 600 to, or no, let's do like, dang it. Let's do from like 700 pixels to 900 pixels, just to kind of show you. So between 700 and 900 pixels, this is going to be, whatever I apply this class to is going to be hidden. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's just apply it to this entire map just for fun. All right. So this entire map is going to be hidden from 700 to 900 pixels. Okay. So if I scroll down, oh, it's hidden because we're now below 900 pixels, and boom. So it's now below 700, so it's displaying, right? So between those two breakpoints, you can hide something, right? Pretty cool. So this is, I get a lot of requests for, custom breakpoints for visibility. So yeah, this gives you that. This allows you to, affect, you can do a lot more stuff besides just hiding stuff. Display inline can be useful. Some of these other things are a little more esoteric. So some of these table stuff, but I figured I was building this, I would just give all the options that we needed. Chances are you're going to be using this for displaying, either none, block, inline, or inline block. Those are probably going to be the most used settings in here. The rest of them are a little bit more advanced and esoteric on what you're going to be using. But this custom breakpoint is going to be pretty cool. Okay. There's one more. So down here, we have new component swatches. And some of these I moved from the general swatches area, right? And this is component colors, menu styles, and top bar styles. And these are going to be, again, swatches that are applied to particular components, right? So you'll notice that there is a new one called gutters. And this allows you to, define custom gutters for a particular column, right? So, you can do my gutter, and then you can do custom values for that. And whatever column you apply that my gutter class to will get those values. Cool. Well, not a lot of questions today, guys. I assume I just blew you away and that you loved it. I'll assume that. Yeah, we did do some advanced stuff today, but I think it was pretty cool. Hopefully you guys got a little bit of love, and a little bit more glimpse into how SVGs are, right? And it was kind of cool. Just, we can find a free SVG. We can kind of tweak the code a little bit, maybe integrate it with Foundation 6. And then we got some cool new swatches coming up, right? That are going to let us style those things. Now, I guess I probably could have showed you, like, if you wanted to do this today, you don't have that SVG swatch, right? Here, let me just, let's go ahead and, really quick. So if you wanted to do, some of this today, so like if you just wanted to do, path, okay? So this is just kind of some, or we can do here, my parent, okay? So you can add a parent class to something. So it's .my parent and then all paths in it. You can then do fill, colon, red, something like that, right? So that's the general gist of what that fill is doing. It's really not all that much of a rocket science. Obviously, then you can use your transition swatches to do transitions and stuff like that. I'll put this little snippet in the chat for you guys. So yeah, cool. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Learned a little bit about what SVGs are, how they are HTML, right? Or they're actually XML. Okay. But, HTML is also XML, so it works. And you can integrate this stuff with Foundation 6 using some of those snippets from the Foundation 6 documentation, the open source docs. And you can also use swatches to play with them and modify them as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today. Sorry for the little issues when we began. I'm glad most of you found the stream again and was able to come on and watch this. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day. Hopefully we'll see you on Friday at the Hangout. And maybe we can play around with more of this, and I'll probably have some more cool stuff from Foundation 6.7 done by then as well. So take care, everyone. Have a wonderful week.